But just with
in his situation, the reality was he had no leverage. You know, he didn't get drafted his first year eligibility. He didn't get drafted his second year eligibility. His first year after the draft, he went to Pittsburgh's development camp. The second year, he went to Montreal's development camp. And I think he went to Pittsburgh's as well. And then he was in Rouen-Noranda. He got traded to Sherbrooke.
Yeah.
And, you know, my conversation with him was all about getting his education.
Yeah.
And what university he wanted to attend after he played his 20-year-old year. And he got a tryout with the Washington Capitals. And he was invited to the development camp, which was probably late June, early July. And at the time, he was in Montreal training. And he had a flight scheduled out of Montreal going to Washington on a Saturday evening.
Okay.
And he called me that afternoon saying, Dad, something bad has happened. And I said, well, what's happened? He goes, I'm in an ambulance. I'm like, what? What happened was he had a drill or something, and he got his ankle lacerated with a skate. And there's blood. And
in Montreal?
In Montreal.
Oh, no.
And it was either that day or the next day he was scheduled to fly and attend the development camp in Washington. And of course, I was concerned about his health, but I was also concerned about this opportunity. So his agent at the time called Washington and explained the situation. They said, well, send him anyway, you know.
Okay.
So he literally went in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk.
Character.
So imagine you're in the Washington Capitals, you at the arrival gate waiting for your free agent tryout to roll in, and he comes in a wheelchair.
That is incredible. The confidence he had. Like, no, I'm going home. I'll see you home. He went to Washington.
He went to Washington. So instead of going to the rink, they checked him at the hotel, which is in Virginia on the other side of the Potomac River in Washington. And the hotel is adjacent to the practice facility. And the trainers hooked him up with some sort of a hyperbaric chamber to put his ankle in and to expedite the healing process. And, of course, the next day, let's say they had an orientation on the Sunday. He would have been there but unable to participate in anything. And then they'd start Monday, and they practice in the morning and scrimmage in the afternoon, and they did, nutrition and all those kinds of things that they do in those development camps. And unfortunately for him, he couldn't participate until the last day. And he calls me, he goes, Dad, what do you think? And I said, well, but I think you're better off, taking care of your ankle. And he goes, I think I can go. So I don't know whether they gave him a shot of something, but he laced his skates up and played in the last exhibition game. And it was, we could watch it online. Yeah. And in Liam's typical fashion, he competed like a motherfucker, if you know what I'm saying. He knew that, in order for him to
stick around,
to get an opportunity, he had to make a mark, and he did. So the feedback was positive, and they invited him back to the main camp. So he goes to training camp in Sherbrooke, had a really good start, and then he left Sherbrooke to go to Washington to try out. And an indication of what they thought their hopes were for him is they gave him number 87 as his number. And a lot of people think that, he wore 87 because of Crosby. No, that would be the last thing he would do. Not that he doesn't like Crosby, but the last thing you do as a Nova Scotia kid is to want to wear one of your idols' jerseys. They gave him 87 because it was probably an indication of how long they thought he was going to last in training camp.
That's funny.
He was healthy. He had a good start in camp. And like him, he showed up every day. I think in the preseason he led the team in points and penalty minutes. And I think it was the 5th or 6th of October, we get a call from the agent. We were just hoping, he was just hoping for an American League deal. And we get a call saying that Washington's going to give him an offer. And then we get a 3-year entry-level deal. And then Trotz says, how would you like to play against the Montreal Canadiens on Thursday night? So
I remember that time when Liam was trying out, and every morning, when you wake up in the morning, you check the first thing that's on your mind. I would go to the Washington Capitals website every morning and just like, did they cut him? Did they cut him? He's still there. Oh my God, he's still there. Wait a second, regular season's tomorrow. He's still there. Wait, because Washington, they updated it, but like they only updated it like once a day, and it was in the morning. And I just couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable.
He would tell you that you show up to the rink every day and you feel like there's like the Grim Reaper looking over your shoulder. Like you're really on pins and needles. And I said, bud, you got nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you go back to Sherbrooke, have a great year, and maybe we get you a look next year. But he just played, he's fearless, and he's coachable. And where he lacks talent or skill, he makes up for in sheer force, as I mentioned earlier. He really is symbolic of that.
Yeah.
And they loved him.